I could not be happier with Lara Trump's performance as the RNC co-chair. And you might be thinking, Jack, why are you supporting Lara Trump? Well, I'm not, but let me explain why she is making me so happy. Since becoming co-chair of the RNC, fundraising levels are down to historic lows. Republicans are flailing in their national messaging. And whenever Lara Trump goes on TV to represent the RNC, she absolutely screws her boss and father-in-law and Donald Trump. And it is always a complete disaster. And it was again today with an interview that Lara Trump gave that went so badly, so incredibly quickly, and I cannot wait to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button. It really goes a long way in building this community on our channel. Now let's get into Lara Trump, absolutely panicked as she falls apart in this interview.
Something that we learned this week about from prosecutors on Donald Trump's role in trying to overturn the election results in 2020. When Mike Pence's life was in jeopardy, an aide told prosecutors that Trump said, quote, "So what?" Do you think that's an appropriate response to the notion that his vice president's life appeared to be in danger?
Well, I think that this is a ridiculous ploy, of course, in 30 days to an election to try and dissuade people from voting for Donald Trump. You know, the January 6th situation has been amplified to a level that I don't think is almost believable to so many people right now, when they're struggling to put food on the table for their families, when they're struggling to fill up their gas tanks, when you have dog and cat euthanization rates at an all-time high right now, because people are going to have to turn over their animals because they can't afford to have a family pet right now. When you have wars breaking out around the world, this is not the top concern for the people of this country. And the fact that this is coming to the forefront just speaks volumes about the fact that the Democrats probably don't feel good about their candidate of Kamala Harris. This is not the main concern of the American people. They want their affordable life back. They want jobs back. They want their country back, and they want their safety and security back. And they know who brought it to them. It's Donald J. Trump.
I thought Donald Trump gave weird, rambling answers, but Lara was asked about Trump not caring about Mike Pence's life being threatened on January 6th and somehow found a way to get to pets being put down. I don't even understand. This is some of the more ridiculous, distracting, and maneuvering to not answer a question in an interview that I've seen from a Republican, and I have seen a lot of that, but just an absolute mess from Lara Trump. And like I said, screwing over her boss and father-in-law in this interview, in a clip that we're about to check out, when she is confronted and caught in a lie about the 2020 election that just brings up an issue that Trump and Vance do not want to be talking about right now because it is hurting them so badly. But of course, Lara can't help herself from mess up, but let's just go ahead and check that out.
Let's look ahead to how Donald Trump will respond to the results of this election. Polls, of course, show that it is very, very close. It could go either way. Is there any circumstance in which Donald Trump would accept a defeat and concede?
Well, of course, if he feels that this is a free, fair, and transparent election, which, by the way, is my #1 goal at the RNC. You mentioned at the top, I am the co-chair of the Republican National Committee, and our #1 charge has been trying to make sure that we restore faith in our electoral process. There were a lot of people after 2020 all across this country who felt like maybe they couldn't trust that system. We want to restore the faith in that because it is really foundational, Dana, to who we are as a country, as American citizens. Every vote matters and every vote counts. And we have extended this offer to our friends across the aisle at the DNC. At the DNC, please come join us in this pursuit of election integrity. And so we want every person to feel when they go vote in America, whether they're voting Republican, Democrat, or third-party candidate, their vote matters and their vote counts. And assuming everything is free, fair, and transparent, absolutely. If Donald Trump loses this election, he has said himself he will be happy to accept those results.
Part of the reason why people are so unsure about what happened in 2020 is because Donald Trump claimed that it wasn't a free and fair election. And there is no evidence to prove that. There were, 60 lawsuits where lawyers like the ones that you're hiring went through the process, which he had every right to do. And there was no evidence of widespread fraud. His Attorney General, Bill Barr, said that again. So it sounds like you're setting up the same question of free and fair when that is what we saw. So again, do you see a scenario where he will take a different approach this election year?
Well, we are setting things up differently from the RNC standpoint. And we, instead of having to respond days, weeks, or months later to any issue that we might have, are going to have people in the room every time a vote is cast and counted so that we can ensure if there is any question about anything, we're addressing it right then in that moment. And we're not waiting later. Those lawsuits you referenced, by the way, the vast majority of them were not dismissed based on merit. They were dismissed on clerical errors. And if you go back and look at that election, let's just be honest. Everybody watching this understands that was a very different, very unique election. Laws were changed state by state illegally. It's the state legislature that decides the voting laws in each state. That didn't happen, and it was because of COVID-19. You had poll watchers who had to stand across a room and couldn't even see anything going on. You had massive information coming out that people just said, I don't understand what's going on here, and we never got answers to that.
I'm glad that we are finally seeing a little bit of pushback when Republicans say they'll be happy to concede the election, with the caveat that it's free and fair, because the 2020 election was free and fair, and Donald Trump sent a violent mob to the Capitol. So we cannot take that. We cannot believe that non-answer, that BS answer, the same type of non-answer that J.D. Vance gave in Tuesday's debate, because it's just not real. And we can clearly see that. We saw it in January of 2021. And the days and weeks leading up to it, Republicans will attack our democracy no matter what. And so we have to preemptively call them out. And that is exactly what happened when Lara Trump tried to push more lies about the Biden-Harris response to Hurricane Helene, and she was shut down right here.
To listen to what the Republican senator from North Carolina, Tom Tillis, said about the rescue and recovery efforts.
I'm actually impressed with how much attention was paid to a region that wasn't likely to have experienced the impact that they did. For anybody who thinks that any level of government, anybody here, could have been prepared precisely for what we're dealing with here, clearly are clueless. But right now, I'm out here to say that we're doing a good job.
So he and others are saying, please, to the former president and to others, stop spreading misinformation because it's hurting people in North Carolina.
I'm so glad to hear that he feels that way, but it's coming directly from people there. You can go online and you can look at videos of people recording themselves and posting online saying, we need help. No one has come here. We have nothing. And no one has even addressed the situation in my neighborhood or my area. So I'm glad to hear that he feels very good about that. And I hope that we hear more of that. I want them to recover there as soon as possible. And it's tragic, the loss of life that we've already seen. I think that number, sadly, is going to continue to go higher. And it's a tragedy all around.
I want to turn to
Republican governors and senators, as we saw in that clip, are praising President Biden and Vice President Harris for their response to the communities affected by Hurricane Helene. But of course, Donald Trump doesn't care about that. He doesn't want to tell the truth, and he certainly doesn't want to help those communities affected. He wants to take photo ops. He wants to lie in ways in which prevent members from those communities of accessing the relief that they need because they are so confused by the conspiracies that Donald Trump is pushing out. But again, they don't care about communities affected. They just care about using those people's crises to benefit them politically, because that's all they've ever cared about. And it's clear when Lara Trump continues to push her lies in this clip right here.
I want to ask you about something that the former president said last night on that stage, specifically about Hurricane Helene in your home state of North Carolina. He said that FEMA is only offering $750 to Americans who have had their homes destroyed. That's not true. He's also echoing conspiracy theorists online who falsely claim that the administration is redirecting disaster money for undocumented immigrants. That's also not true. Why is he spreading misinformation in a crisis like that? And does that concern you about your fellow North Carolinians and how and whether they could actually get help?
I'm incredibly concerned in North Carolina. I hear every day from people on the ground there, and they are desperate for help. It is a dire situation there. I actually think we don't even know the extent yet of truly how bad it is there. And look, Kamala Harris did come out and say it's $750 per family right now. The idea that we've spent $650 million in fiscal year 24 on the migrant crisis that Kamala Harris was responsible for stopping, and by all accounts, she created by having an open door policy at our southern border,
But
is
Laura,
infuriating
let me just
the
stop you right
citizens
there.
of this country.
Let me just stop you right there because I just want to not let this get out there. You are right that FEMA is giving $750, but that is a first step. It's for immediate needs. It's called the serious needs assistance.
Just absolute gross lying. These people have no shame. They'll say whatever they have to. And of course, what are they after? Their own political gain. Every single time. And we have to continue to call that out. And we will on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you enjoy our channel, you can drop a blue heart in the comments if you stuck around to the end. And until next time, I'll see you soon.